In our Politics Lead today, President Trump is not only refusing to denounce, but actually seems to be embracing a conspiracy theory group called QAnon. The group's views are frankly deranged. They believe there is a secret cabal of Satan-worshiping, cannibalistic pedophiles who run the government. But it's no joke. The FBI has warned that the followers of this theory could pose a domestic terror threat. And the ideology has led to acts of violence, including kidnappings and murder. But asked about QAnon's expanding footprint, President Trump said this.
I don't know much about the movement other than I understand they like me very much, which I appreciate. But I don't know much about the movement. I have heard that it is gaining in popularity.
The crux of the theory is this belief that you are secretly saving the world from this satanic cult of pedophiles and cannibals. Does that sound like something you are behind?
I haven't heard that, but is that supposed to be a bad thing or a good thing? I mean, you know, if I can help save the world from problems, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to put myself out there.
Joining me now to discuss the former Republican chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, a former FBI agent who served as a special agent, rather, Congressman Mike Rogers. Mr. Chairman, thanks so much for joining us, as always. What do you make of the fact that President Trump wouldn't denounce this conspiracy group that the FBI has warned in an internal memo could pose a domestic terror threat?
Well, I mean, you can give the guy one shot at not knowing about it. I think I had to school myself up in the last couple of weeks about who they are and what they stand for. But it gets to the point where he's got to come out and condemn what they're doing. And this clearly is a fringe of a fringe movement. But the problem is they're using lots of common threads to attract people to their message, including, by the way, fighting human trafficking, right? Who's against that? And then they're kind of ratcheting these people up, and then you get the delusional folks like the guy in New York who ended up killing somebody in the name of this organization. That's where it gets troubling, and the president's going to have to come out and condemn this group at the very least.
Do you think President Trump's actions are enabling to these groups? I mean, after the president refused to condemn them and in fact seemed to praise them, there were news reports about how people who were part of QAnon were rejoicing.
Well, clearly, and again, they use any clue that they have. You remember the whole point of a conspiracy. Do you remember the movie or the sitcom Cheers? And remember when Cliffy the mailman comes in, he always had these kind of wild and crazy stories, and he always had an odd set of facts. That's how these conspiracy things start. So they can be fairly innocuous, your pal at the bar. But what's going on with this is they're ratcheting people up, and they're attracting people who already start out delusional, and then they latch onto this. They call it confirmation bias. And so that, yes, there must be something going on, and I'm the only one that knows what to do. So when the president comes out and even jokingly encourages this behavior, I don't think he realizes what impact that will have. The people who have already gone through the process of the first layer and second layer and third layer of this organization now are thinking, hey, there must be something to this. The president of the United States said, yeah, maybe I might be going after this secret organization that's been running the world for the last few years, and it's dangerous. And the sad part about this, Jake, is that it's spread to 71 countries. And so I will guarantee you that there are foreign nations taking a look at this, looking at this, and seeing if there's an opportunity to kind of continue to fan these flames. That's what I think, that's what I worry about for sure. And I know the FBI is curious about this as well. And they're very worried about people getting promoted and worked into, they get worked up and commit an act of violence. And that's why the president needs to come out and set this thing straight right yesterday.
Well, one of these deranged people just won the Republican nomination for a congressional seat in Georgia, and now you have the President of the United States seeming to lend them credibility and talk about how great they are. The FBI's warned that this organization poses a domestic terror threat. You talked about how it's spread to other countries. In Germany, I think there was a mass shooting partly inspired by this. How could he? I don't even understand how he could think this is funny.
I don't either. Candidly, I don't. The only thing, if we're, let's just be charitable, maybe he didn't quite understand who they were, and he thought it was kind of humorous that they said he's saving the world. And you might think that the President Trump might be encouraged by that kind of an attitude. And so he thought that this was kind of an interesting and funny thing, not realizing, well, it's well past not realizing. I'm sure he has access to the FBI material. He should, if he hasn't, he should read it. And he should understand what they're saying and why this is so dangerous and why it's escalating. And when he promotes it in any way, it adds gas to this fire that will become dangerous over time. And remember, not everybody that goes on and, they lure these people in by saying, well, would you help us stop human trafficking? Oh, okay, I'm against human trafficking. I know
Sure.
you're against human trafficking.
Yeah.
So you could see how somebody gets in and then they just try to step them up. Well, a lot of people will get in and go, oh, that's not for me. This sounds a little crazy. But the people that won't are the folks that end up in New York shooting somebody. They end up in Germany tying themselves to a shooting because they think in a delusional sense, remember this confirmation bias, I think something's going on and I might be the only one that understands how bad it is. That confirmation bias sets them to an act of violence. That's what we have to worry about.
All right, Mike Rogers, thank you as always. Good to see you again.